it's Mike coming at you with another Planet Zoo Console Edition video. Welcome back to Eden Garden Zoological Park. In the last episode, we added this platypus enclosure, which was not quick, it was not easy, and it caused me PTSD. There's been so many challenges in this park as I've been learning the game, trying to do new things, and this was one of the most difficult things I have done in the zoo yet. So I thought, because this was so difficult, I'm now going to tackle something even more challenging. And we're going to add our first multi-animal enclosure in the zoo. But if you are enjoying this series, make sure to leave a like, leave a subscribe if you are new, and if you want to have your Planet Zoo or Planet Coaster Park shown on YouTube, then make sure to join the I and Matty Discord link. The link is going to be up in that top corner right now, or it'll be down below in the description. But without further ado, let's hop into the zoo and let's have a look at some of the changes that I've made in between episodes. Right, so here we are back in the zoo once again. We're over at the tortoise enclosure, but let's turn around, we'll leave here, and let's go and have a look at some of the changes that I've made in between episodes. So I haven't done anything too drastic, it's mostly just been smaller little details, adding little things throughout the zoo. But the biggest change that I have made is to the hippo enclosure, which I never decorated. I completely forgot to decorate the hippo enclosure. I basically just put them in there, a couple of enrichment items down, and then never actually decorated it. So I've now addressed that, so as we come through, and oh, what's that baby doing? That doesn't look like it's physically possible with your size and the size of that enrichment item, but oh well, anyway. So yes, anyway, this hippo enclosure, I've just come in, I've added way more foliage, a couple of rocks, I've added the supports around the trees so the hippos can't bang into them. I've also touched up the ramp coming down, and then in the central island, mostly just the same, just adding way more foliage, a little bit more detail. I've added a couple more enrichment items, just bringing it all together, bringing it in fitting with the rest of the park, because this enclosure was really lacking at the moment. So let's come back down here. The train is just going past right now. We'll hop out of here. We'll do that thing when you go to the zoo. You know when you go to the zoo and you have one of these trains, and when it goes past, everyone stands and waves. Hello, hello everybody. Why do people do that? What is that all about? Why do you do that? You wouldn't do that any other time. You don't wave to people when you're watching cars go past on the road, so why when you go to the zoo do you wave at people on the train? Very bizarre, I don't know, but we all do it. I do it. Whatever. Anyway, so as we come back down here, I'm not 100% sure what to put right there. Suggestions would be welcome. I'm not 100% sure. I might just do some foliage or something. I've just gone around adding some of the things in between where the path changes, just to add a little bit more realism, just so there's not that sharp change from one path to another. And I've also touched up the Eden Railway sign, just giving it some extra colours behind, a little bit of shadowing. Oh, there's a mistake there. I need to turn that round a little bit because you can't see it as it gets to the end. But yeah, I just copied it a couple of times, put a green background and then a black background to make it look more 3D. And then as we come around here, I put a coffee machine right there. Unfortunately, when they use it, they get a negative effect from the wind turbine. Tough luck, guys. I'm sorry, but you're just going to have to deal with it. That's where it's going, and I'm not moving it. And then I just added some more rocks and foliage coming down the side of the railway. And as we head over towards the platypus enclosure, which is platypuses, thank you ever so much to the people in the comments. And a baby platypus is called a puggle. Oh, that is so cute. But anyway, I've added a couple more details around here, some education, I've added some seating, and then as we look inside the actual platypus enclosure itself, I've just decorated more inside here with the rocks coming all the way down. I've also moved the submarine because it didn't really make sense for it to be underwater at the back, so I've moved that so it's now floating on top of the water. And I've also put some ropes coming down the side of them fences, like inside, so the guests stop actually walking through that fence, which is what they were doing before. And then coming around the back of the platypus enclosure, again, just some more details, some more foliage, some more trees, just as the train's going past right now. I love that view. And we've got the platypuses there, just in front of their hard shelter. And the final change that I made is I moved the power source away from where the boat ride was, because what I've got planned, I'm not going to have the room to put a power source, a water heater and a water cleaner all over there. So I've moved them over to this side. I've blocked them off with the fencing here so the guests can't access this, and the staff will be able to walk over the train tracks and access them nice and easily. And we've now got the boat ride running. So this is where we're going to put our new multi-enclosure, and we're going to put in here sun bears and binturongs. Am I saying that right? I'm not 100% sure. But this is going to be one of the most difficult enclosures I have built yet, with the terrain and the area that I've got available to me. Because we've got the bridge going over, we've also got the train line going around the back. This is going to prove extremely challenging, and I'm not 100% sure if I'm up to the task or not, but I'm going to give it a good old try. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get all of the pieces that I want to use in this build, and we're going to lay them all out and we're going to recolor them. So there's multiple colours going throughout the entire build. I'm just going to grab some of the small faux rocks. A lot of people are asking where you find these on the console. They're just under the nature tab, small faux rocks. We've only got the 5 of them at the moment until the aquatic pack comes out, but I'm going to put all 5 down, group them together, and then just recolour all of the groups so we've got multiple options to put into this enclosure. Now we can start building our enclosure. So I'm going to use these 2-meter concrete pillars and use these as a wall. This build is actually inspired by one that is currently on the workshop right now by CRXBB, who did a tiger enclosure. It's currently on the front page of the workshop and it's absolutely gorgeous. It is so good, and I had to try and do something with that style. So that is my source of inspiration for this build. But using these 2-meter pillar concrete blocks, we're going to put them all here and make sure to turn them around, pivot them, and just make them all at a crooked angle to make it really dynamic and unique. Using this dry stone wall, we're going to use this as the corners of the enclosure. We'll have to put something on top of that later on, but I think that would work really well in the corners and just give the whole enclosure a different look. I want to try and use a couple of different textures in this build, which is why I've recolored some of these stones to try and make it all look different so it doesn't have the same coloring going through the entire enclosure. We do need to move that bottom layer because it looked a little bit too square and a little bit too perfect, so we needed to make that look a little bit more rough and ready, so to speak. Now using these small faux rocks, we'll start bringing some of these over and just start putting them around the wall to make it look like it's all broken up. We're going to spend a lot of time on this one piece of wall here, and once we've got the first one in place, then we can start utilizing this wall and start copying it and moving it around the enclosure, but then just changing it as it goes around. The longest job is going to be the first wall. Using some of these decals and then recoloring them, I think it gives an amazing texture on the walls, and it just makes it look even more broken and decrepit. And then going back to the bull cypress, which I absolutely love. I know I keep saying in various episodes that these are one of my favourite items in the game, about various different things, but these are genuinely one of my favourite things in the game. I love them bull cypress pieces. They're so good. But we're just putting some foliage around here just to try and get a sense of what it's going to look like as an end result. I think this is a really good idea when you are building. If you build a small section and then just start adding some foliage around it, it will give you a rough idea what the end result will look like, because without the foliage a build can look extremely empty and plain, and you might look at it and think, I don't like that, I need to delete it. Just add some foliage around it first, then make a decision. Using some of the same concrete pillars, we're going to come along the base of the enclosure, and this is where the border will actually come up to. And then I think we need to actually think about putting the enclosure border in, or at least some of it to give us a rough idea. So I'm going to use the concrete and then put some glass inside there. With the barrier now down, now we can start copying over some of the concrete pillars and making it all different and unique as it comes across, to make sure that we don't have the same look going all the way across the entire front of the enclosure. When I first started this build, I wasn't even sure what animal was going to go in here. I just knew that I wanted an enclosure here, and with it having an almost Asian feel to it, I think the sun bear would be a perfect choice, with it coming from Southeast Asia and it living in the rainforest. We're just taking some of these concrete pillars and now we're going along the top of the glass. None of them line up properly, which is even better. This is exactly how I want it. After placing some more foliage around, I think it's now time we start tackling the water feature that's going to come here. I want to have an area for the animals to be able to swim in, so using the terrain and then just roughening it up and then smoothing it back out as we go around, we're going to put the water in and we're going to have a look at how many levels we can put this in and see which one will be best. We'll then remove the water and then start decorating around before putting the water in afterwards. One of the most frustrating and annoying things about this build is because I kept swapping between random rotation and random rotation all. As you can see, when I'm trying to put these on the wall, it just spun around all over the place. I kept having to flick on and off the settings, and it just made the build so much longer and more time consuming. With all of the rocks and a lot more foliage now in place, now we can carry on doing the border for this enclosure. So we're going to put some more concrete wall coming along the side of the train, and we're going to swap that one to glass. I think it's currently a little bit too low, and as you're going past on the train, you won't be able to see inside the enclosure. So we're going to grab that and we're going to raise it up a little bit more, and then when you go past on the train, you'll be able to see the sun bears and the binturongs, or however you pronounce that animal. I still don't know how to pronounce that animal, but we'll be able to see them through the glass. This is becoming one of the biggest time-consuming enclosures I have done in the series so far. I already had about 5 hours worth of footage to compress down into this one video. There is no way we are going to manage to finish this one build today. It's not going to be possible. I'm going to require a couple more days to get this done. We're just bringing some more of these vine curtains over to the opposite side, as I really like how they drape down over the glass. We just need to bring some more decals over to the opposite side, because right now it looks way too clean and crisp for my liking, so let's make it look a lot worse by putting all these decals down. I think it's about time we finally finish off the border for this enclosure, so starting using the null barriers, we'll then swap to the concrete walls, back to the null barriers down the side, and then finally the concrete walls going along the back. This means we're going to be able to have multiple viewing areas for the animals inside this enclosure. I'm going to swap to the Asian themed items only and start going around the area, just decorating and adding even more detail going around now. Because I got multiple items that were on a grid, I had to actually blueprint that front wall to then put it over to the other side. Right now it's going to be identical to the other side, but we will come back and change all of this up to make sure that it's different. I think our final task for today's episode is we will try and cover up these stairs. So using a lot of the same techniques that I've used for other enclosures in the zoo already, we're going to cover up all of these stairs using these dry stone wall pieces. The real question we should all be asking ourselves is, why do I do this to myself? It takes so long to do this, but I think the final result is worth it, but it is a long and time-consuming job to cover up the in-game stairs, especially when you've got as many stairs as this one. The stairs are actually clipping through the wall there, so we need to just move them in a little bit before copying it over to the other side. And there we go, so the stairs are now done. Thankfully, I can now breathe a sigh of relief. Unfortunately, there isn't an actual dry roof panel that I actually like. It's got a border going around the outside, and I didn't like it, so instead, I'm going to use this 2x2 meter stone wall and use this as a floor instead. I would have loved to have got this entire enclosure finished for today's video, but as you can see, it was such a long job, and I think you'll be able to understand why I couldn't get it done in one episode. So just using this East Asian timber, we're just going down the middle of the two paths just to blend them in a little bit better. I think at the base of the stairs, we'll once again use these concrete pillars and we'll curve them coming around, and we'll create a really nice entranceway to the boat ride, and where you'll also be able to go up and have a look at the sun bears from an elevated shot. I think our final two jobs for today is we will just finish off walling around the stairs, and then we'll cover up the walkway with some roof tiles going down there. And then for today, I think we're done for building. I don't know about you guys, but I am done. I am absolutely worn out after all of this. And there we go. So the foundation for this enclosure is all done. We've got all of the water side done. So in the next episode, we'll look at finishing off decorating, going up the stairs, getting all of the queue line for the boats done. I think we will also try and get the boat station done. And I think I might try and carry it on with a similar theme to what we've going on right here. It would make sense to stick with the same theme. But I'm really happy with how this has come along so far. I don't think it's looking too bad. There's a lot more work to do, and massive apologies that I couldn't do this in one episode, but hopefully you all like what you see so far. I cannot wait to get this all finished off. But thank you ever so much for watching, everybody. I'm going to be back next week with more Planet Zoo content. Until then, take care, stay safe, look after yourselves, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye, everybody!